This segment of Delmarva Life is brought to you by Peninsula Regional Medical Center.
Well, the end of this week is actually going to be a little difficult for all of us here at WBOC because Captain Willie Dykes is going to hang up his wings and say goodbye to Chopper 16. He has decided that now's the time to do so. He will be staying, though, with Outdoors Delmarva.
Yeah, that's the good news.
Yes.
But he also decided that now was the time to share a personal story. Last fall, Captain Willie suffered a heart attack, but he didn't display any of the classic signs before it happened. He sat down with Brian Spires to talk about his experience, hoping it may save someone's life.
I'm doing great, Brian.
8 months after he suffered a heart attack, Captain Willie is ready to sit down and talk about what happened to him.
Good, great.
What makes his story so different, he did not display the classic symptoms of a heart attack.
I'd feel an ache, just like an ache, the kind of ache you get when you feel profound sadness. You know, when it's beyond crying. Do you ever get that feeling? It's right at the top of behind, in the base of your throat. And it would last for 3, 4, 5 minutes, and as I kept walking, it would go away. And even later on in the morning, I would start jogging and jog until I was pretty well out of breath, and the pain didn't come back. So, of course, I didn't associate it with a heart attack.
Had you ever had any other issues with your heart?
I'd never had any specific heart problems at all whatsoever. So that the fact that you don't have a history of problems or haven't had any problems in the past is not the greatest indicator of your actual status.
Willie says he thought the pain in the base of his throat was stress-related, but the Sunday after Thanksgiving, something happened.
No pain, no pressure, just an ache, and then it sort of spread out in a general feeling of, whoa, something's wrong here.
That's when Willie told his wife he had to go to the hospital.
So on your way to the hospital, I mean, did you have any other pain? Was there anything else going on besides what was just happening in your chest?
I wasn't out at any time or incapacitated. I was aware of my surroundings, but I was weak, extremely weak. And again, it was just a feeling that something really bad is happening. That sort of puts kind of a damper on your whole persona.
Once at the hospital, tests revealed that he was in fact having a heart attack.
Once the diagnosis was heart attack, then I say, okay, I'm in your hands. You know, do whatever's necessary.
He was eventually brought to PRMC for further treatment.
The next morning, I had a catheterization. There you go. They inserted 2 stents in one of my coronary arteries and opened up the blockage, and that was it.
Willie says doctors told him the pain he had in his throat was the result of what's called walk-through angina. All of it a sign something was wrong inside his body.
If I hadn't gotten the arteries unblocked by mechanical means, the heart tissue would have been starved of blood and would have died. So, and I'd be left with a partially functioning heart.
That's why time is critical when someone is having a heart attack. Willie says his heart does not show any detectable signs of tissue damage. Even though he ignored the pain in his throat for so long, he wasted no time getting to the hospital when he knew something was wrong. He's telling his story in hopes of sending a clear message to everyone out there.
There are things you can watch for, and there are things that you can do. And if you have any idea that something is going on with your heart, is to go to the emergency room now. If it's indigestion, that's cool.
Willie has been lucky in many ways. He's back on track, moving forward, and learning from an experience that could have been so much worse.
And we're happy to have him walking the halls here at WBOC. And as Willie said in that piece, his symptoms did not match the typical symptoms of a heart attack.
And Captain Willie joins us this afternoon along with PRMC cardiologist Jeffrey Etherton to tell us more about something called walk-through angina. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Willie, let me ask you first off, you had said that looking back, you now realize that something that guys in particular, and most people I guess have a hard time doing, is talking about it, that maybe you should have said something to somebody.
Yeah, that's kind of a pretty important thing I realized after the fact, was that if I had discussed the feelings I was having, the symptoms I was having, the people around me would have been more aware of the fact that something more profound could take place. Or the other side of the coin is I could have just been laid out completely unconscious, and the people around me would have had very little idea of what was going on or what to do next. They wouldn't have known what to expect, and that's kind of silly.
Mm-hmm. They wouldn't know what to tell the doctor.
Yes.
When you got to the hospital.
Yeah.
Now, Dr. Etherton, I had never heard of walk-through angina. Neither has Jimmy. What exactly is it?
Well, walk-through angina is one of the group of atypical types of angina that people can get. Angina is an expression of the symptoms that people get when they're having heart trouble. And as a matter of fact, the majority of people that have these problems don't typically have the classic chest pain in the middle of the chest. That's the most common type, but it's not the most usual. All these other types of atypical types of pain are more frequently seen. And what happens in walk-through angina is people start their exercise or their daily activities or work, and they feel the symptoms of chest pain, and then they're sort of deceived that it might be something else, because as time goes on, the pain goes away.
Now, Willie's was in the base of his throat. Mm-hmm. Why was that? Why would the pain be all the way up there?
Well, the nerves on your heart are very different from the nerves in your hands and feet and skin, and they work in a very different fashion, where they just refer pain to different parts of your body. So you could have trouble with your heart and feel symptoms of uncomfortableness or pain or pressure in your throat or in your arm or neck or jaw or even in the small of your back.
And a lot of times people will mistake a heart problem for just indigestion, right?
Yes, that's right.
Is there any way we can tell that, oh, this is just indigestion, or, oh, no, wait, this is a heart problem?
Well, if the symptoms persist, if you feel it time and time again, and particularly if you have any of the risk factors for heart trouble. So if you are, a person who has high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, a smoker, and particularly if you have a family history of heart trouble, those are all really important factors. If you have those, and you have these like persistent symptoms, that could be a type of angina.
And women, it affects a lot of women.
Very common, yes. Yeah, one of the troubles we have is that women can frequently feel atypical heart pains, and in the small of their back, indigestion in their neck and stuff like that. So it's really, really important for them to seek medical attention from their primary care doctor or from a cardiologist.
Now, that was part of the cardiac rehab process, was an education into some of these symptoms, and some of the symptoms that especially the women feel can be in places that are quite unexpected. For everyone is waiting for this clutching, terrible chest pain and shooting pains down their left arm, and if I'm not having that, I'm not having a heart attack, and that is way far from the truth. The head, neck, as Dr. Etherton was saying, your jaw, and places in your back and your shoulders and whatnot, that these pains are manifested, and if they persist, it's a sign that there could be something wrong with your heart.
So what kind of treatment is there for this?
Well, at first, if you're diagnosed with angina, one of the most important medications is nitroglycerin. That's an immediate medication that helps relieve the pain by dilating the arteries in your heart. And that's one of the things we give first, but also aspirin and various medications that affect the platelets and keep them from clumping together. And then medications like beta blockers that help to decrease the oxygen demand of the heart and sort of like take stress off of the heart muscle and decrease the chances of further pain.
Now, Willie, you got through this, thankfully. What are you doing differently now? You changed?
I've changed fairly profoundly, but it wasn't all that hard. It's mostly just being aware. I'm I'm aware of that I need to exercise regularly, not just when I feel like it, but regularly, and to be aware of what I'm eating. And that's just can be as simple as another thing they stressed in the cardiac rehab was reading labels. Foods are engineered these days to grab you in the taste buds. They're going to get you with things that you really like to taste. And so a food that might advertise that it's low in cholesterol or has no cholesterol might be high in salt. Or a food that says it's low in salt might be high in sugar. Usually there's something in there that's going to work on your taste buds. And so if you're aware that these foods are high in something that's in some ingredient that's not good for you, you can kind of take it easy on them or go to an alternate.
Prevention. So if this, quite honestly, this struck a little too close to home, Willie. We're glad everything is looking good, but if there was one thing that you could say to somebody after going through the walk that you've walked, what would it be?
Make yourself aware of the risk factors that affect you specifically. There are 5 or 6 major ones, and if you have the risk factors and you have any indication, any feeling that something's wrong, or that to at the first signs, have your family physician check them out. And if it really feels like something terrible is going on, go to the emergency room.
All right.
Do something about it right now.
How about that? Willie, Dr. Etherington, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Good stuff.
And if you would like some more information on walk-through angina or PRMC, go to delmarvalife.com and click on the show tab.
Well, up next on Delmarva Life, play it safe. Most of our kids love the playground, but it's not always fun and games. Studies show thousands of kids are hurt on the playgrounds each year. What you need to watch out for.
And from protecting your little one to protecting you while you're at the playground baking in the sun. Drexel and his team at Bad Hair Day show us a few products that can help with sun-damaged hair and skin.